Hello. Figured I'd start my stream. So congratulations. My name is Noel Feis, and I'm debuting. Hopefully this goes as well as, well, I hope. So then, as you can tell, I haven't exactly made it to where my dream is super complex or anything like that, but, well, we'll see how it goes. I am 24 years old, was born on March 4th, 1996. Don't actually know my height at all. Haven't measured it in years. Last time I checked my weight, it was just around, it was just under 110 pounds, but given how much I eat, in that fluctuates fairly frequently. I was born in the United States, up in the mountains of Colorado. And as you can see, I've got my model, the artist for this model, up on the screen. So, I enjoy reading, watching anime, playing games, listening to music, and daydreaming. So, favorite anime. That's a category that I have a bit more trouble talking about. I'm starting with favorites. I'm going to be going into a bit more detail on stuff. My favorite I don't really have a favorite anime, but out of the anime that I find myself recommending quite a bit, there's Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works, because I haven't watched the original. Hear Love, people say it's not great, so I haven't checked it out. There is Code Geass, because the ending of Code Geass is freaking amazing. Back to Fate Stay Night for a minute. I think my favorite part of that one is actually Shiro. As a main character, he's quite interesting. And Shakugan no Shana, because that was one of the better romance anime I watched ever. Angel Beats Me, it was quite the experience. Not actually, I need to figure out more words to put it in. And Slayers, as a remnant of my childhood. That was the anime that introduced me to anime before I even knew what it was. My mom had the first 2 seasons of Slayers, and I'd watch them as a child quite frequently. There are lots more anime I could sit here and talk about. At the moment, I'm watching Kumo Desuga Nanika, which is good, but a lot less detailed than I was hoping. And Jujutsu Kaisen. Haven't really been paying as much attention to anime in the recent seasons. I'm debating starting up Mushoku Tensei because I know that'll be good, but I haven't yet. Now then, books. So, I tended to go through phases a lot growing up, where I go between games, watching movies, and or reading. When I was in a reading phase, I could read a 400-page book in a day. And that reflected on me rather well. But I found my favorite, but I never really got much into nonfiction books. I've read a couple philosophy books, but I didn't get very deep into it. I think I read Atlas Shrugged in 1984 and a couple of others, and that was about it. generally fiction that was mixed with interesting philosophical concepts. Anyway, Worm by Wildbow. So I'm not. I think he was publishing an actual book series for Worm too, but I originally picked up Worm on WordPress, and it's a superhero story that's, well, supervillain story. It's really interesting. He really planned out the world before he even started, and goes into massive amounts of detail throughout the entire series. It's almost as long as the Game of Thrones series too. So, well, Song of Fire and Ice series too. So, lots to work on. And then there's the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. Dresden Files series is, it's actually a series with a main character who is both relatable as all hell, and at the same time, someone you don't want to, well, someone you don't want to see go through incredibly crazy shit. Like, his experiences, they don't change his core, but they do change the lengths he's willing to go through for a lot of things. And that always hurts to read. But I wouldn't be as attached to the character in the Dresden Files if they didn't go through shit. The Valdemar series by Mercedes Lackey. Valdemar is, well, it's an entire setting, as said right there. She generally does a trilogy of 3 books following one character, and then moves on to another character in the setting and does a trilogy for them, whether they be from centuries prior, 2 years in the future, whatever. But it always follows, and it's always an arc following the next character. And because of that, she's got quite the expansive world. Ender's Game was the first science fiction. Ender's Game was the first sci-fi series that I really was able to get into. It was basically a philosophical discussion. Ender's Game is all about the philosophy of how alien are aliens, and regardless of how alien they are, do we have the right to sit here and decide whether they deserve to exist or not? Which is, well, it's a deep philosophical discussion. And the main character goes through the first book fighting the bugs, as they're called, and not really questioning things other than when other than experiencing killing things and disliking it immensely, and then having to move on. But by the next books, he's kind of trying to find atonement for his actions, and it just continues on interesting philosophical points for sci-fi. Sci-fi often does interesting philosophical points. But it was the first sci-fi setting that I really actually tried to get into. Now onto the Japanese series. There's So I'm a Spider, So What? Or Kumo Desu ga Nanika, which is an isekai about a character reincarnated as a spider. It's getting an anime this season. The anime is okay. But the source material, whether you go for the light novel, the manga, or the web novel, is generally pretty awesome. It's a lot more detailed. Man, I am just hesitating all the time right now. Stage fright, I guess. Anyway, yeah, the anime seems to be it's not skipping past them, but it's just like brushing over like the top layer of a bunch of the situations that the main character encounters without really explaining them. And there have been some points that, because of that, you like completely don't know what she actually got out of the situation, like her encounter with the bees and the earth dragon. In the source material, that was where she developed her stealth skills and also gained automatic HP recovery, which she just pop up in the anime without any explanation. And a lot of her techniques that she developed in order to deal with these specific situations never get developed or used in the anime because they never actually show the scenes where she developed them. My camera's a bit low, so it's a bit hard to track my facial expressions while looking at the screen. It's probably going to freeze up quite frequently until I can find a better position for my camera. One more level with my head. Now then, Mushoku Tensei, also getting an anime this season, and it came like a little while before the Isekai Boom series. It started getting its web novel adaptation a little while before the Isekai Boom started, and it had staying power, a lot of it. It sat here, and most Isekai steal its tropes from Mushoku Tensei, but that's because Mushoku Tensei established the tropes really well, like where others just brush it over and are like, oh yeah, this is how it works. Mushoku Tensei went into extreme detail on everything. And it doesn't have the traditional fantasy tropes of, oh yeah, here are elves, here are goblins, and stuff like that. No, Mushoku Tensei was all unique stuff, other than dragons, and a couple other things. But generally, how they used them was always unique, which made it interesting. The certain magical index setting is really expansive to read and awesome, and the certain scientific railgun in anime is pretty awesome too, but other anime adaptations have been lackluster. But it's one of those settings that a certain magical index starts out really kind of bland. It's typical harem action show, not really interesting at all. But the thing is, the author kept going. He kept expanding his world and building up his cast and setting up payoffs, and then he actually went through with the payoffs, and then he continued. And that's why I enjoy it as much as I do, because he's continually expanding on everything, including the actual character of any of his characters he introduces. He'll usually expand on that character more in a specific book or whatnot. Like Misaka has gotten massive amounts of character development, and Index has gotten some pretty interesting character development too. But the one who developed the most was the main character, Toma, who starts off as bland harem anime protagonist number whatever. Tower of Gods web manhwa or whatever is actually pretty good. Again, lackluster anime adaptation, but the actual series starts off kind of... the actual manhwa starts off kind of but gets much better over time. It's... basically, he sits here and establishes rules and doesn't tell you everything, kind of like the author of So I'm a Spider, So What. They don't tell you everything, they just mention it in the world, and you have to kind of figure it out yourself, or wait for the author to sit here and clue you in. Either way, though, it allows for you to have a decent idea of what's going on, but not enough of an idea to get everything, and so you still get surprised in some interesting ways. And it also eventually explains most of the power-ups that are given. It seemed just the characters acquired at the drop of a hat. Beyond that, I have read some Chinese web series that were translated by fans, and I'm willing to try anything as long as it's translated into English because I can't speak any other languages yet. Games. So, I can't really say I have a main genre of game I like to play. I usually don't play much racing games, but anything else I'll try. At the moment, I'm playing Lobotomy Corporation, and that will probably be what I'm streaming for the first little while until I finish it. But I have played a lot of games. The recent games, the ones that I sit here and look at and are like, wow, these were amazing, would be Hollow Knight, Sekiro, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Doom Eternal. Out of the recently released games, recent being relative, those were the ones I enjoyed a lot. 16 minutes without a viewer. Can't say I'm surprised. Okay. So, Smash Brothers was fun, but like, it's Smash Brothers. There's not much to say that hasn't already been said about Smash Brothers. If you've played one, you generally know how the game works. I like the spirits kind of training you to deal with spammers and stuff like that, and just boosting your average player skill level. That was pretty inventive, and I like that. But otherwise, the formula hasn't changed much. Final Fantasy X was my first ever Final Fantasy experience, and I go back to it every once in a while because I've never actually beat it without beating it with Game Shark when I was really, really young. And so I go back to it and try to get a bit further in it than I did before. And then inevitably, before I can finish it, I move on to some other game and come back to it later. Tales of Xillia was an RPG that surprised me. Well, an action RPG that surprised me. I had no knowledge of the Tales series prior to going into Xillia, so I was really surprised by the depth of the twists and the questions that the story asked. It seemed to be mainly focusing on the issues of taking care of the environment and what it means to be a ruler and what lengths you should go to, which is interesting. And the part of the interesting thing about it is that the game didn't actually answer any of the questions. It just kind of pseudo-answered them, but by the end of this series, the main characters hadn't been proved right yet, which is still something that's rather uncommon to this day. And as I said, I'm currently playing Lobotomy Corporation, enjoying the heck out of that game. It's not... I don't usually play management games, not because I dislike them, but just because I don't usually hear much about them, so I don't bother playing them. But it's about as challenging as I expected, hearing it was a really hard management game going in. And I'm enjoying it a lot. I've currently gone through one playthrough where I finished the first 4 breaking Sephiroth meltdowns and cleared all the missions for Chesed and the Central Command, Tifereth. But I started on Gerbera and I got White Knight, so I didn't get very far in that. I just got the execution bullets and then backed out. And restarted my game. And currently I'm on like day 15 of that new game. So that's where I'll be starting as far as streams go. Now then, let's move on to the next slide. So, my inspiration for debuting. So, about almost 3 months ago now, I heard, about 3 months ago now, I heard from somebody I knew about the Niji Sanji English audition. And I was really interested in that, but when I asked if he wanted me to apply together with him, he said he didn't want the competition. And as I valued my relationship with my friends more than I do potential opportunity that I don't even know how it would go, I let it pass by and was like, okay, I guess I'll wait for the next one. But then I thought about it, and the next one, I don't know when the next Niji Sanji audition will be for our English VTubers. And I figure if it's already starting to become rather crowded in the English VTuber community, or just the VTuber community in general. So, if I don't sit here and try to, if I sit here and wait for my opportunity to come for me, I'll never get it. It'll be too late. And so, I decided to go independent for now. Maybe eventually, when the next audition comes up, I'll retry and see how it goes, but yeah. So, VTubers who inspired me. Korone, naturally, because Korone is just really energetic and charming and positive, and just inspires good feelings in you, and is the type of person who I want to figure out how I could be able to do that with everyone around me. Subaru, it seems like Subaru never, I've not seen her give a negative opinion about anyone in any of the clips I've seen of her. And again, that is really neat. That could just be mistranslations or something, but it's like Subaru is never, ever sits here and makes fun of anybody. Or if she does, she backtracks on her statement within like seconds. That's awesome. Pekara's just funny as all heck, and plays interesting characters. I watched every single member of Hololive English first generation. Out of them, I've got to say, the ones I've paid the most attention to were Callie and Ina. Callie, because it's interesting. At first it was interesting watching someone trying to juggle work, VTubing, and also apparently music creation. So I sat here and went, and so I was enjoying watching that. And Ina, because she has some really good taste in games and is just really relaxing to watch. Kiara, I started with watching Kiara because I sat here and saw she was streaming Fire Emblem Three Houses, and I was playing that, so I was like, okay, let's see what the stream's like. But I haven't really had the opportunity to keep up with her. Kiara seems to have her shit together. Like, she's had her channel canceled a couple times, but as far as like her life goes, as far as what I can tell, she's exactly where she wants to be, and is capable of doing. Is like incredibly talented. Gura is actually, I don't know what to say about Gura. I have watched some of her streams, and she is, I can't, she's obviously really talented and really fast growing and adorable, and I would like to figure out the reason for why that is. But sometimes I just can't find the words to describe stuff. And that's one of the things I think of when I watch Gura's streams is indescribable, like the indescribable shine. And then last one was Amelia Watson. Amelia Watson plays a lot of, from what I saw, does a lot of platformers and a lot of first-person shooters and a lot of other stuff. But most of her content has not been stuff I've been heavily interested in, so I haven't watched her much. Who knows if that'll continue to be the case? But I have no idea, given that I'm becoming a VTuber, I have no idea how much time I'll have on hand to watch them anymore. We'll see. I'm out of the, formerly independent VTubers. Actually, do they still qualify as independent or not? I'm not sure. Anyway, Iron Mouse was the first independent VTuber I looked at. And Iron Mouse is neat. It's like, she's got quite the she's got a lot of character. And it shows through all the time. Which is gotta be great. No hesitation, nothing in what she says. It's again, I want to live like that. Nyanners is weird. Like, I can't say she's particularly say-so or anything like that, but she's definitely got her niche, and she played Final Fantasy X, so that's a bonus. It said it was her favorite game, and she's also more in tune with just the culture of her fan base than she's in tune enough with her fan base to the point where I want to eventually be, but that can be said of a lot of VTubers. Then there's Zentria, who sat here and showed me that I don't need to worry about my voice or appearance or anything like that when I'm VTubing. I should just go for it. It's if somebody can be confident enough to go out there and VTube with just a robotic voice and be successful or enjoy it, either one, then that's proof that what I'm looking for isn't impossible. Then there's Niji Sanji in Indonesia. Niji Sanji Indonesia is awesome. Like, that was what inspired me to at least check out the Niji Sanji English audition in the first place. Was I saw the Niji Sanji Indonesia. It was just like, whoa. That's a community of friends that I would totally be willing to be a part of. I can't say they're all friends or what, because I haven't watched enough of them, but I know at least they tend to hang out with each other fairly regularly. I watch Taka Rajiman's streams, and he'll regularly have like 3 or 4 other VTubers come in and say hi during his streams. It's like, that's awesome. Totally want to, and totally would be nice to have more people to play with that I'd be willing to play with and just talk with. Now then, my goals. As you can tell probably from me just sitting here and breaking into silence every like 5 seconds or so, I am not exactly a social person or comfortable with talking for hours on end. But that is one of the things I hope to change by doing this streaming. So, yeah, my first goal that I set for myself was to be comfortable enough to just talk for your average VTuber 3 hour length stream. If I can go beyond that, great. But first, that's where I want to start. The second part of my goal, though, was I sat here, and as I was waiting, I sat here, and I realized that I'm not unsatisfied with where I am in life right now, but I find myself stagnating, as it were. So, I hope that through streaming like this, I can start changing again. Whether people enjoy it or not, that's what I want, is to change and grow beyond where I currently am. So, I started streaming. Now then, as far as streams, I am not sure about how my voice sounds because everybody who's heard me sing has just been family or friends, and I can't say whether they're sitting here and just being family and friends when they're saying I sound good when singing, or if they actually think I sing good. So, I haven't really thought about karaoke streams at all, or anything like that. And I'd also have to pick out songs and learn the lyrics well enough to be able to sing them properly. So, who knows? Now, most of my streams I'm planning on doing are just standard gaming streams where I sit here and talk over me playing a game. And maybe I'll branch out into reading books or something, or online occasionally. Never know. But, as the next lines say, right there, I have no idea how this is going to turn out. Because, again, part of the reason I'm doing this is in hopes of bringing about personal change in how I view things. And also because my first change was posting something on YouTube. I have never, ever posted a single video on YouTube, and thus, well, I'm well behind the curve. I don't know I don't know how to set up anything for a stream beyond what the Streamlabs already gave me. Like, I don't know how to set up an ending card or anything like that. I'm not particularly skilled at art because my hands have been shaking since I was born, to the point where most people think I'm like shivering constantly or something, and that made it really hard for me to draw a straight line as a kid. And when my teacher started getting discouraging, I got discouraged, and so I never really picked up art. But I will at least try to learn how to do this, so that I'm going to try and improve my streaming so that things go well. The Facebook logo is still down there. Another example of something silly about something I missed until just now. But now, character lore. So, this avatar was designed with like a librarian look in mind, but other than that, he's fairly normal. I didn't want to sit here and develop a character that I wasn't sure I could act out. And so I didn't. We'll develop the lore and character as I stream, because the best way to develop something like this is by doing it. It's like I could make a character on the fly and do it like the Hololive members or Neanners or well, Iron Mouse or Zentria. I could make a character like any of those and try and act it out, but I was kind of inspired by Hachima and other VTubers who started off like Suzuharu Lulu, completely just a normal person who has, who's like, in Lulu's case, an art student or something like that, whose character grew to become something more just through people watching them and experiencing their stuff. And so so I haven't really made much lore for this character other than librarian style person who really likes books. But there we go. Also, part of the reason I didn't sit here and take the time to get a stream overlay and get music for my stream and all that stuff and figure out what my title and stream look is going to be and stuff like that was because I did not want to delay myself much more. Like, I already put off starting my debut stream for 2 months, just procrastinated on it because I was waiting for my model to show up. So, commissioning any, like, overlays or stuff like that would take weeks. And so, I didn't want to delay that until, I didn't want to delay my stream until after I had those stuff. I just wanted to start streaming. That way, I can't sit here and procrastinate on it and go, I'll do it later, over and over again. So, now then, other stuff. So one, I am told that if I'm interested in a topic, I can just talk for it on I can talk on it for quite a while. Which, well, yeah, if I have someone to talk to and it's interesting enough, I'll sit here and try and bring them into it as deeply as I can. So maybe that'll be one of the things that'll allow me to talk for a while on stream. But you never know. I also occasionally just say really weird things that seem to come out of nowhere. So I'll try and I'll think about them and I'll try and share them on stream. I'll try and share them with my audience when I do that. And so, Avatar, designed by Xiaojing, who was doing commissions on Fiverr. And it's full body avatar. Has 4 expressions. There's super smile, which one thing I've noticed about these expressions is that the mouth doesn't move while I have them active, which might be nice for when my face rig, because it's in the wrong spot, doesn't activate or something like that. But yeah, super smile, closed eyes. Was my excited face. Natural. So that way, when I'm being super immersed in something or being like, oh, that was awesome, I can just put this face on to let you guys share it. Although my normal face works for that too, I think. Then there is my shocked face, where something managed to shock me out of whatever, sitting here and running into a monster in a horror game or jump scare or something like that just shocks me out of my thing. Then there is sad face. It's got tears and everything. When I'm sitting here and getting really frustrated in a game, or a cutscene moves me, or something like that, sad face. And then there is angry. When I'm really pissed off at you guys, or the game, or whatever, and just being like, frick this. Don't know why I'm preventing myself from cussing now, as I already did earlier, but that was a minor cuss, whereas this would be a major one. So, yeah, where I'm like, frick this. I'm gonna do something else, or, I'm gonna try really hard to kick this guy's butt. But as far as my whole avatar is concerned, I shrunk myself, and there you go. That is my whole outfit. I made sure to get a full body avatar, but it's got hair physics, I think. Yeah, small amount of hair physics, tie moves, hem of the shirt moves, well, hem of the jacket moves. Looks nice and fancy and classy. I like the... I rather liked how this turned out. It was well designed for a first choice for Avatar. But yeah, tall skinny man. That's me. Tall skinny man with a ponytail. Well then, I'm not really sure what else to share. I'm going to be streaming on YouTube and Twitch. Although my debut stream is at the moment only on YouTube. But when I have multi-streaming, so I'm going to be streaming on YouTube and Twitch. No point not to at the moment. And as I said, mainly games and stuff. Let's bring myself back down. There we go. But yeah, mainly going to be gaming and stuff. My first game is... I plan on playing Lobotomy Corporation. And hello, viewer number 1. First viewer. Anyway, I plan on playing Lobotomy Corporation and maybe doing a Doom Eternal Nightmare run or some Hollow Knight. And then we'll figure out from there. Just starting out, so rather than I figured I could kind of get a hold of everything as I went, which would be better than starting completely, and like it would be better to start and get a hold of everything as I went than wait for me to have everything and just continue waiting because I could always find more stuff to do. Anyway, I think I'm running out of stuff to say for the moment, so I think I'm going to end this stream and take a few, 15-minute break and then probably start a Lobotomy Corporation stream. I don't have a consistent schedule yet because I've got work and I have people who come nearby that you can just hear all the time, and I don't want to sit here and stream if everything around me is being too loud. But I plan on streaming at least twice or 3 times a week. Well, probably more if I can. And well, that should be everything.